Hey everyone, welcome back. So in this video we are going to talk about how we can prepare all the required file which are required while we are using Ant as a deployment tool. So there are basically three important files. One is build.xml, one is build.properties, and then we have got package.xml. So all these files acts differently and the work for all these files is different, and we are going to talk about what exactly these files are doing. So this build.properties files is responsible for storing all the sensitive information, like you have got username, password, your Salesforce URL, your session ID and other kind of things. And then you have got build.xml. This is the file which is going to have the ant targets, where you are going to define which target is going to retrieve the code from the Salesforce environment, which target is going to deploy the code to the Salesforce environment, and if you have some destructive changes which target is going to run that. All kind of targets we are going to define inside build.xml file. Then we have got package.xml file. This is where we are going to define which metadata we wanted to retrieve from Salesforce environment and put into our local machine, and then which metadata we wanted to deploy to our Salesforce. That is what all these three files does. And at the end what we are going to do is we are going to take a look, or we are going to walk through the simple build.xml file which is already there, and you already have that build.xml file inside your system. So before we go ahead, there is one thing that I wanted to show you, which is for the Mac users. When we did set up the Mac, there was a step that we forget while we were setting the Apache Ant. What you need to do is just open your Ant file with wherever you have stored the Ant binary files, and then go to the Ant that you have downloaded from the Salesforce Ant migration tool. Then you will see there is one ant-salesforce.executive jar files. Just copy that, go to the library folder of your Ant and paste it over here. So I have already pasted this file, so I already have this over here inside my folder. It will ask me to replace. You just need to go ahead and you just need to copy and paste. That's it. That's all what you need to do before you actually start doing this. Once you are done with this, under the same folder, into the Ant migration tool that you have downloaded, where what you will see is there is a sample folder. This is where you have everything I was talking about. You can see here we have got build.properties, we have got build, then we have got unpacked, we have got remove pack. These are the sample folders that we have. So what you need to do is just copy these three folders: unpacked, build.properties, build.xml, and go ahead into the folder, prepare a new folder called code, and then paste it over there. I already have this. I'm going to share with you, so you will already get this. But if you have a different folder where you are following all these steps along with me, just go ahead, paste those three files over there. Now once you have pasted those three files, next thing what we need to do is we need to edit this build.properties file. If you see here, let me expand this section of the type. It is properties resource file, it is XML document. This is XML file and this is the properties file. Just open this properties file with any notepad editor. Like if you are in Windows, you might be using Notepad++. If you are in Mac OS, you might be using text edit, you might be using note edit, or any other application that you might be using. Okay, these will be like blank, and here instead of dev username you will be seeing something like that, sf dot username. So you will see here there will be a property called sf.username. You will see that sf.password. So you will be having the properties like this. And then what you need to do is you just need to change to dev username, or you can say that sandbox username 1, sandbox username, whatever the property you are naming it. Just remember this, because this properties we are going to use somewhere. Then this is the username of our sandbox 1, which is dev, and then this is the password. So this is the password is up to here, and then after that this is the security token of my Salesforce environment. So you don't need to worry about that security token. I am going to add the IP ranges into my sandbox environment, so you don't need to have that security token for your Salesforce environment. And if you are working on your own sandbox and you are wondering how you can get the security token, so for that, let me quickly show you from where you can reset the security token, and that token will be sent to your email. So this is our sandbox environment. Where are we? And you just need to click on your username, go to my settings, and under my setting just select personal. And once you click on personal, you just need to click on reset my security token and then click on this button. So as soon as you click on this button, you will be seeing that there is an email has been shoot down to this email, and the immediate previous token will get expired. So what I have to do is now I have to find my new token and then add that new token as a password for my environment. So this is my new security token and I had to reset the password. So I have reset the password for my sandbox dev environment, and now the new password is udemy at the rate 2021, and this is the new access token, security token that I have received via email. So that's how you provide your username and password. And if you come here on the down, you will see like this. This is a commented metadata type. We will talk about how this is like, what is the use of this. Then you will see there are two URL. URL basically this is going to be like sf.server URL. So it will be like this for the new file that you will open. And I have changed this to prod URL and sandbox URL. This is our sandbox URL and this is our prod URL, and you have that max poll. This is how like maximum polling to get the data from the Salesforce environment. So that is all about your build.properties. Initially, whenever you are using your build.properties file inside a system, like inside your local machine, you have to put the username and password over here. And once we will talk about how we can set up the CI/CD using Jenkins, GitHub, GitLab, or Bitbucket, then we will talk about how we can secure these things so that none of the developer can have access. Only the admin user will be able to access the username and password. So this is about our build.properties file. Now let's talk about build.xml file. Again, this is the XML file which is already there. I will just walk you through and then I'll tell you what and where you need to make the changes. Okay, so here you can see this is the project, the XML file, and which is starting from the project, and we have to give it a name. You can see this name is saying sample usage of Salesforce and task. So if you wanted to change it, you can change. It is saying that default. That means if you don't specify any target while retrieving or deploying the while running the ant commands, it is going to execute default test command. What is the base directory? You can define base directory, but it is pointing to the current directory you are in. And then you have got XML, SF, and this is the value it should be because this is where we are referring to the Salesforce jar file dependency. That is how we are going to do that. Now, in this build.xml file, how we are going to tell the system that this is our properties file and where our credentials are stored. So we have to tell us here using a property tag and say that file, and this is a file where you need to read, and we have defined some properties. You need to look into those properties. This part will be uncommented. You can comment or you can delete this. I'm going to delete this because there is no use for me. Then here there is a task definition where we are saying that this is a resource. It is going to be same. URL is also going to be same, whatever you have given on the top. And then this is the path element. Basically we are looking where our jar file is. So as our base directory is pointing to the current directory, so we will go to one more directory and then we will find there is one jar file which we are pointing to, and that jar file we are using for our project. So that's what we have got about our jar files. Again, you can also comment out this, but this is very important while we are setting up CI/CD using Jenkins or any other tools. Now you can see here under this task definition there are multiple targets which has been defined. So each target is basically, here the targets are playing very important roles. Each target is defining either you want to retrieve or you want to delete, you want to deploy, what you actually wanted to do that. So here you can see this is the test target, which is by default added over here. I'm going to delete this because I don't need. If you don't want to delete, you can just leave it. And this time the default target I'll change to retrieve unpackaged. Now here you can give the target name. It can be anything. You can give it anything like a retrieve. You can say that unpackaged. You can say fetch the data from Salesforce, or you can put anything. Okay. So now what retrieve does? Retrieve is going to get the data, fetch the data from Salesforce and put into the directory where you are going to tell them, where you are going to put into the command. So here that's why we have one command which is saying that make directory. And what is the directory name? This is retrieve unpackaged. You can name any directory. You can say unpackaged, you can say fetch the data, you can say Salesforce data, you can say dev1 data, any name you can put over here. And whatever name you put over here, that name should be put as a retrieve target over here. Suppose that I say here unpackaged. Okay. Unpackaged, I'm saying that, or let's say that we are saying that fetched data. Okay. Now we need to define the same folder over here under the retrieve target, because this is the retrieve target. Basically, this is the target where we wanted to put our data while we are fetching data from our Salesforce. Then here, this is SF column retrieve. This is the target is basically useful. You have to put as it is if you wanted to retrieve. Okay. So you need to say SF column retrieve. What is the username? Now this is SF dot dev username. This build out properties, whatever you have given, SF dot dev username 1, 2, 3, whatever you have given, that should be over here. What is the password? Again, you need to refer to your properties file. What is the server URL? This is sandbox, maxpol, whatever we have given. Retrieve target, here we wanted to put, and then we have got unpacked. This is basically the file, or we can say that the folder where our package.xml file is sitting, and only those elements will be retrieved who are like whose entry is there inside this package.xml file. So we'll talk about this package.xml file later on. Then let's talk about this deploy. Okay. There is one target for deploying. We are going to talk about each and every target. Like most of the target we'll talk into the coming videos. But for this video, we're talking about two targets. One is retrieve, one is deploy. For this time, you need to say what is deploy. Like this time you say that SF deploy. That means Salesforce deploy. You need to deploy to Salesforce. Now here you need to provide what username you need to deploy. So you just need to say, suppose that I wanted to deploy to sandbox dev. I'll say dev2 username. I will say dev2 password. If we are providing username and password, we don't need to provide session ID. And if we are providing session ID, we don't need to provide username and password. But we cannot provide both at the same time. Then what is the server URL? Again, server URL is same with the sandbox, because both of them are sandbox. Maxpol is okay. Now here you can say deploy root. This time which folder is where we wanted to pick, and these changes should be deployed. So remember, in the first step where we retrieved, the folder was fetched data. This time we need to say it is fetched data. This is the folder where you need to go, pick all the metadata, and then deploy to Salesforce environment. That is all about this deploy target. We will talk about some other targets as well into the coming videos. So now we have talked about build.properties, build.xml. Hope you are okay with all these, whatever discussion we have done. If there is anything which is there, please feel free to ask. Now let's talk about package.xml file. So there is one folder unpackaged. Okay. You can see here we have got package.xml file. If you edit this, if you will see here what are the types, like what components you wanted to have. Like 51.0 is the version of your current Salesforce release. You have Apex triggers, you have Apex classes. I can also say that Apex page. You have some sort of like Aura components. You have custom objects. You can say custom object. So the thing is that whatever the metadata you wanted to retrieve, you have to put over here. Sometimes you wanted to put the name over here. Suppose that you wanted to put the name, you only wanted to retrieve a particular metadata, which is invoice. In case of custom object, you have to put that name. If you have more like you wanted to put the invoice line item. Okay, then you have to put the other entry as a member, other entry as a member, which will be invoice line item. Similarly, in case of Apex pages, you can also put permission set, you can put custom fields, you can put profiles, you can put connected applications, you can put lightning web components, aura components, triggers, classes, or you can have other things as well, like tabs, anything. Like most of the things are supported by this and migration too. So this is all about your package.xml file. So that's it about this video. Thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and we will meet you into the next video. Thank you.